going to show you how to replace the turn signal switch on a 2004 Mercedes C230. My windshield wipers are not working in intermittent 1 and 2 speed, so I have a feeling it's the combination switch here. Now they do work when I push in on them, so that tells me that the fuse and the relays are probably fine because I am getting some functionality. But if you want to check yours, the driver's side fuse box here in the engine compartment holds fuse number 46, and those yellow relays control the wipers. So I bought the combination switch from parts.com. It was $118 delivered, and it came with a warning sheet here to be really careful with the sensitive equipment, and there's also a lock pin that comes in the box too. So the switch has some wires on it here that I believe that's probably our issue. They've probably snapped on the old one. So the first thing you want to do is pull the steering wheel back, and we have to loosen, turn the wheel, and with a T30 Torx, loosen these two screws on the back, and that's what's holding in the airbag and the horn so that they don't touch. And then just pull the airbag straight back. There's a little electrical connection at the top. You just have to pull that off first. So with that out of the way, we can get down to the airbag electrical connectors and just use a little screwdriver to pry off the plug, and then they should pull straight back for you. So with the airbag out of the way, we have access to the steering wheel, and with a 10mm hex socket and a lot of force, it took about 100 pound-feet of torque and a breaker bar to get this thing loose. You want to take this off very carefully. You don't want to strip it, and when you put it back together, make sure you tighten it to 100 pound-feet of torque, and if you have it, I would recommend putting some Loctite back on the thread. So the steering wheel has little positioners so you can tell, when you're putting it back together that it's correct. So now with that out of the way, there's a steering wheel angle sensor, and you want to make sure that that little down arrow is pointed at 12 o'clock when you're putting this all back together. And it has 3 screws that hold it in there with a 10 Torx. And I had to use a magnet to kind of hold the screws as I was pulling them off. For some reason I had to do it. Just a little tip for you. Now the steering wheel angle sensor, just pull straight back on it. It's going to be difficult. I had to mess with it for a little bit. And then there's little copper pins. Do not touch those pins. Do not let them touch carpet. They're very, very sensitive. And then you got to lock the steering wheel sensor with that red pin so it doesn't move around. So on the back here you can see what holds it on to the steering column is these little plastic things, and I busted one using a flathead screwdriver. That was a bad idea. I should have just pulled straight back on the assembly. It will come off. And then there's little plastic side shields, for the combination switch and the cruise control switch. And then this is like the wiring sockets. That just pulls straight back. There's no screws for it at this point. Same thing with the cruise control toggle. It just pulls straight back, no screws. So for the combination switch, the only thing we got to do now is remove, it's a T30 screw. Just remove that and just pull straight back. There's no other connections, it just comes right off. And then you got to remove the T10 screws on the back of it to get it out of the housing. It just slides right off at this point. So in the back here you can see these are those wires, and it's the blue one for me. The blue one snapped off right where it enters the stick. Now for cars built before September 2003, they recommend that you kind of etch out the plastic. That's already been done because mine was built in October. But you can tell you can see right there it's where it snapped. I hope this helps you out. Installation is reverse of removal, and let me know if you have any questions.